WNBA Finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, it's obviously.
It was supposed to be the one day of the year when the noise stopped. Christmas morning 2025 for the WNBA front office, and specifically for Commissioner Cathy Engelberg. The holiday break was a much-needed ceasefire. After a season defined by record-breaking viewership, but also by unprecedented controversy, racial tension, and locker room infighting, the league leadership needed a moment to breathe. They needed the news cycle to focus on the NFL or the NBA Christmas games, or literally anything other than the internal politics of women's basketball. But at exactly 1000 a.m. Eastern Time, while families were opening gifts and the sports world was still waking up, a notification went out that shattered that peace. It wasn't a press release from the league. It wasn't a highlight reel from the WNBA's official account. It was a tweet from Nike, and it contained a 30-second video that would arguably do more damage to the commissioner's authority than any scandal we have seen in the last decade. The commercial, titled From Anywhere, featuring Caitlin Clark, didn't just break the internet. It reportedly sent the WNBA headquarters into a state of absolute panic-induced rage. To understand why a simple sneaker commercial could cause such a visceral reaction from the highest levels of the league, you have to look beyond the basketball. You have to look at the power dynamics that have been shifting beneath our feet for the last 2 years. For decades, the WNBA has operated on a very specific philosophy: the collective. The brand is the shield. The league promotes the 144, the idea that every player is equal, every story matters, and no single athlete is bigger than the organization. It is a socialist approach to sports marketing that Commissioner Engelbert has championed as a way to protect the league from volatility. But when that commercial aired on Christmas morning, featuring high-budget cinematography, A-list celebrity cameos from Travis Scott and the Kelsey brothers, and a swagger that felt more like a movie trailer than a sports ad, it took a sledgehammer to that philosophy. It declared loudly and visibly that there is number 144. There is Caitlin Clark, and then there is everyone else. And for a commissioner who has staked her reputation on managing the ecosystem of the league, seeing one player elevated to the status of a mythological figure without the league's permission or control was a direct threat to her power. The details of the commercial itself are what reportedly kept the phone lines burning up between league executives all Christmas Day. This wasn't a montage of WNBA game footage. In fact, if you look closely, the WNBA logo is barely visible, if at all. The ad focuses entirely on Clark's personal brand. It shows her in a driveway, in the snow, surrounded by the cultural icons of the moment, sinking shots from impossible distances. The message was clear. "Can you make it from here?" asks the world. "From anywhere," she answers. It positions her not as a basketball player, but as a cultural phenomenon that transcends the sport. Insiders suggest that Engelbert viewed this as a rogue operation. Usually the league works in tandem with partners like Nike to ensure that marketing materials uplift the WNBA brand. But this was Nike flexing its muscles, telling the WNBA that they don't need the league to sell shoes. They just need Caitlin. It's a terrifying realization for a commissioner to have. The realization that your biggest star has outgrown the league she plays in. And the corporate sponsors know it. But the timing of this release adds a layer of malice to the situation that we cannot ignore. To fully grasp the rage in the front office, we have to talk about the unrivaled league. Just weeks before this Nike ad dropped, the basketball world was fixated on the launch of the new 3-and-Re League, founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafi Sakir. This was supposed to be the WNBA's answer to the off-season problem. It was an equity-based league designed by the players for the players, intended to keep talent in the United States and generate revenue for the veterans who have carried the torch for years. The commissioner had publicly supported this initiative, seeing it as a vital piece of the WNBA's growth strategy. They threw everything they had at Caitlin Clark to get her to join. Reports leaked that they offered her over $1 million for a few weeks of work, a historic sum, far exceeding her WNBA salary. It was a Lionel Messi-type offer. And what did Clark do? She said no. She declined the money. She declined the exposure. She chose to rest, to play golf, and to step away from the spotlight. Or so they thought. The release of the From Anywhere commercial on Christmas Day, right as the unrivaled league was trying to build momentum for its January tip-off, feels like a strategic ambush. When Clark turned down the unrivaled offer, the narrative from the old guard of the WNBA was that she was missing out. They insinuated that she was hurting the growth of the game by not participating. But this commercial flipped the script instantly. The view counts tell the story. Within 24 hours, Clark's 30-second ad had generated 6 times more views than the entire unrivaled roster reveal and launch campaign combined. It was a public humiliation for the establishment. It proved that Clark didn't need the unrivaled league to stay relevant. The unrivaled league needed her. For Commissioner Engelbert, watching her off-season strategy get buried by a shoe commercial was a disaster. It reinforced the idea that the fans aren't loyal to women's basketball as a concept. They are loyal to the Caitlin Clark show. This realization makes the commissioner's job infinitely harder because it strips her of her leverage. How do you discipline or manage a player who holds the keys to the entire kingdom? This brings us to the financial embarrassment that this commercial exposes. One of the primary jobs of a commissioner is to make the league look professional, wealthy, and aspirational. Cathy Engelbert has a background in business. She ran Diot. She knows numbers. And the numbers here are humiliating. When you see Caitlin Clark in a commercial that looks like it cost $5 million to produce, wearing custom gear, rubbing shoulders with multi-millionaire rappers and NFL stars, it creates a jarring contrast with the reality of the WNBA. The production value of that 30-second clip was higher than the production value of most WNBA broadcasts. It reminds every viewer that Clark is making millions from Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm, while the league she actually plays for pays her a rookie salary that frankly wouldn't cover the catering budget for that commercial shoot. This is a PR nightmare for Engelbert. She is currently in the middle of negotiating future collective bargaining agreements and trying to sell the narrative that the WNBA is a major league. But every time this ad airs during an NBA game or an NFL playoff game, it screams the opposite. It screams that the real money is outside the league. It empowers the Players Association to point at the screen and say, "Look at that. Look at the value she is generating. Why are we fighting for scraps?" It makes the league look cheap. It makes the leadership look incompetent for not capitalizing on this value sooner. There are whispers that team owners are calling Engelbert, asking why they aren't seeing a penny of this marketing explosion. The rage isn't just about jealousy. It's about business. The WNBA is being cut out of the profit loop of its own biggest asset. And Nike is laughing all the way to the bank. However, the most dangerous fallout from this commercial is happening inside the locker rooms, and this is where the commissioner's anxiety is likely at its peak. We have to talk about the A.A. Wilson factor. A.A. Wilson is a 3-time MVP, a champion, and by all traditional metrics, the best player in the world right now. She also has a deal with Nike. She also had a commercial released recently. But the internet is a cruel place, and the side-by-side comparison started flying the second Clark's ad dropped. Fans and analysts immediately pointed out the difference in quality. Clark's ad was cinematic, moody, and high-budget. Wilson's ad was criticized as being simple, low-effort, and visually flat. The narrative that formed online was instant. Nike is sabotaging AA to prop up Caitlin. Whether that is true or not is irrelevant to the commissioner. What matters is the perception. This commercial creates a massive rift between the league's 2 biggest stars and their respective camps. It validates the conspiracy theories held by many veteran players that the corporate machine is rigged against them, no matter how hard they work or how many rings they win. Engelbert has spent the last 2 years trying to put out fires regarding player conduct, hard fouls, and the targeting of Caitlin Clark. This commercial just poured a tanker of gasoline on those fires. How can Aja Wilson not feel slighted? How can the other veterans not feel disrespected when they see a rookie getting the Michael Jordan treatment while they get the generic treatment? This breeds resentment. It breeds anger. And that anger manifests on the court. The commissioner knows that if the 2026 season turns into a revenge tour where veterans are headhunting Clark because they feel disrespected by Nike, the product on the floor suffers. It turns basketball into a drama series. It risks injury. It risks scandals. And ultimately, it all falls back on the commissioner's desk. We also have to discuss the cameo power play in this commercial because it was a direct shot at the WNBA's history. In almost every major WNBA marketing campaign of the past decade, the strategy has been to honor the past. You bring in Cheryl Swoops, you bring in Lisa Leslie, you bring in Sue Bird, you show the lineage.